I wasn't supposed to hear her. She didn't know I was behind the curtain. Literally. I was helping carry a backup speaker for the DJ, don't ask why, and ended up behind this ridiculous velvet divider next to the service table. I wasn't eavesdropping. I was just trying to avoid tripping over a bucket of melted ice and cables. Then I heard her laugh. That sharp kind of laugh she only does when she's with people who make her feel important. "She's still with him?" someone asked. Then Lila's voice, my girlfriend of 2 years, answered. "Technically. But don't say we're together tonight. He's just here." Just here. I froze. For maybe 3 seconds. Then walked out like I hadn't heard a thing. I didn't make a scene. I didn't say a word. I just put down the speaker, fixed my shirt, and tried to swallow the fact that apparently I was invisible. But life's funny. Exactly 13 minutes later. Yes, I checked the time. Her friend came over. Avery. Black dress. Red nails. Smile like she already knew how this night would end. She leaned in, tilted her glass toward me, and said, "Hi, are you free?" I blinked. "Excuse me." She laughed once. "Didn't mean to interrupt your heartbreak. Just figured I'd offer an exit." I don't remember saying yes. I just remember walking away with her. And Lila watching us from across the room. Her fake laugh suddenly missing its rhythm. But this isn't a revenge story. Not yet. Because what came next, the phone unlocks, the texts, the photos, the calls from a number I shouldn't have recognized. That's when things spun completely out of control. And it all started with 8 words. "Don't say we're together. He's just here." I didn't go home with Avery that night. Let's get that clear. This isn't one of those, "I slept with her friend, and now I feel guilty" stories. It's worse. More twisted. More real. We left the party together, yes. But all we did was walk. Around 3 blocks, maybe 4. The city was loud and blurry and too alive for what I was feeling. Avery didn't press. She didn't ask for details. She just walked beside me, sipping her drink and humming some song I couldn't name. Eventually she said, "You're not the first guy she's hidden." I stopped walking. "What?" She shrugged. "You look surprised." I was. Not just because of what she said, but how she said it, like it wasn't even a secret. Like she expected me to know. Like I'd somehow missed the obvious. That night I didn't sleep. Not really. I lay on the couch, phone in hand, staring at the last message Lila had sent me before the party. "Don't be late, kiss mark." By morning, that emoji made me want to throw up. Around 11:17 a.m., Lila finally texted. "Hey, last night was kinda wild, haha. Sorry if I was weird, I was tipsy lol." Weird? Tipsy? I didn't reply. 10 minutes later, she sent another. "Come over. Let's talk?" Instead of responding, I opened my laptop and logged into our shared cloud photo account. Yeah, the one she always forgot was still linked to my email. And that's when the unraveling began. 3 new uploads. All from last night. None of them were of me. One photo was Lila and Brant, the guy hosting the party, sitting very close. Her hand on his chest. His hand on her leg. Another was a blurry selfie of her in the mirror of a bathroom I'd never seen before. She was holding the same champagne flute I saw her drinking from at the party. And the third? The third was a screenshot of a text from her to someone named D. "He's here, but don't worry. I'll distract him until you get upstairs. Just act casual." I read it 3 times. Then I clicked the file info. It was saved at 9:47 p.m., the exact time she laughed and told that group, "Don't say we're together." I didn't reply to her message. Not yet. I needed more. And I was about to get way more than I bargained for. I didn't confront her that day. Not because I was scared, though maybe I was, but because I needed to understand why. I'm not the kind of guy who explodes and flips tables. I'm the type who investigates, who overthinks, who tries to solve the crime before calling it one. So I scrolled deeper. Her cloud was still sinking. That meant if she took photos or screenshots or even voice notes on her phone and didn't manually block uploads, they could show up there. I clicked View All and sorted by timestamp. There was a gap. Between 9:50 p.m. and 11:05 p.m., nothing. No photos. No messages. No calls. Just digital silence. And that, to me, was louder than anything else. I remembered her saying something earlier in the night about checking on the cake with Brant. They were gone maybe 15 minutes. But what if it wasn't just the cake? I wasn't ready to accuse. Not yet. But something inside me shifted, that quiet part of your brain that stops defending the person you love. So I texted her, finally. "You said you wanted to talk. What about?" She replied almost immediately. Babe, I just feel like I embarrassed you. That thing I said wasn't cool. I was nervous, okay? People at work don't know I'm serious with anyone. Another wave of nausea. But you were serious with someone, I replied. Yes. With you, obviously. I stared at that screen for a long time. Then, and I don't know why I did this, I typed something I didn't plan. We need to talk in person. I'll come over tonight. She said yes too fast. So that night, I did go to her place. But not to talk. I had another plan. One she didn't expect. I got there just after 9. She opened the door with this fake nervous smile, like she was trying to pretend she wasn't hiding things behind her teeth. She hugged me. I didn't hug back. We sat on opposite ends of the couch. She started talking about the party, about how drunk she got, how Brant is just touchy with everyone, and how I misread the mood. She even joked that Avery must have hit on me, like it was all some sitcom misunderstanding. But as she rambled, I noticed something strange. Her phone, the one always in her hand, wasn't anywhere near her. It wasn't on the coffee table or in her lap. It was gone. So I stood up and casually asked to use her bathroom. She looked up fast. You remember where it is, right? I nodded, but I didn't go there. Instead, I went straight to the guest bedroom, the one she never let me into, the one that was always just for storage. Locked. A room in her apartment, locked. I stood there for a minute, not moving, listening. And from inside, a faint buzz. Not mechanical, digital, like a phone vibrating. Over and over. I didn't open it that night, but I would. And what I'd find behind that locked door would answer everything and start something much worse. I didn't sleep that night, not because I was scared of what I'd find, but because I already knew. That vibrating sound behind the locked guest room door wasn't just coincidence. It wasn't some misplaced speaker or spare device. It was her phone, or another phone. And the way she'd smiled while I sat on her couch, too calm, too curated, like someone who'd already deleted the messages but forgot the echo of the truth was still ringing behind the walls. The next morning, I waited until she left for work. She had this temp job at some digital marketing agency downtown. 9 to 5, always rushed, always stressful, or so she said. The second the door shut behind her, I stood in the middle of her apartment like I was defusing a bomb. I had one goal: figure out what the hell she was hiding in that locked room. I started small, opened drawers, checked shelves, looked for a spare key. Nothing. But then I remembered something weird from months ago. She once freaked out when I almost knocked over her stack of shoeboxes in the closet. Said there were old photos inside. So I opened one. Not photos. Keys. Labeled, organized, each with tiny colored tags. For her mailbox, her bike lock, her gym locker, and one, unlabeled, brass, tiny, slightly bent at the tip. I tried it on the guest room door. Click. Inside, the room was freezing. She'd left the window cracked, but it wasn't the cold that made me shiver. It was the setup. A folding table with a laptop, 2 phones, and a third device that looked like a baby monitor, but not for a baby. For someone watching something. Or someone. There were sticky notes on the wall. Scribbled names. Locations. A calendar with certain dates marked in red, others in green. And then there was the list, typed, printed, half-crumpled, of 6 names. One of them was mine. Next to mine, a handwritten note. Still doesn't know? Keep warm until July. That's when my hands started shaking. The phones were unlocked. Dumb move on her part. One of them had only one app, Telegram. I opened it. One active chat. A guy named Denton. No profile photo. Just the following exchange from 3 nights ago. Denton, he's getting too close. You sure he's still in the dark? Lila, relax. He still thinks I'm in love with him. Denton, you're cold. I like it. Lila, so does he. For now. I didn't move. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I just stared at the monitor beside the laptop. It was playing back a loop of security footage, black and white, grainy, time-stamped. It showed me, standing in her kitchen 3 nights ago, making coffee, humming to myself like a fool. She'd been recording me. For weeks. Maybe months. But why? And who the hell was Denton? I copied everything I could. Photos. Screenshots. Texts. I sent them to myself. Then I locked the room, put the key back in the shoebox, and walked out of her apartment like I was never coming back. But this wasn't over. Not by a long shot. Because if Lila was playing a game, I was finally ready to play back, and I was done being the fool. By the time I stepped outside her apartment, the air felt different. Colder, even though it was noon. Every sound around me, passing cars, footsteps, the hum of a delivery truck, felt sharper, like the world had shifted frequencies and I was just catching up. She wasn't just cheating. This wasn't some sloppy affair or a one-time betrayal. This was organized, deliberate, calculated. I wasn't dating a person, I was dating a performance. And worse, I had no idea who the director was. I went back home, locked the door, and dumped everything I found onto a hard drive. I opened a blank document and started piecing it together like a crime scene. The phones, the calendar, the chat with Denton, the hidden camera, the printed list with my name on it. Keep warm until July. Why July? What was going to happen then? I stared at the names on the list. One of them stood out. Eli G. Not a common name. I opened Facebook and searched. There he was, mutual friends with Lila. Same city. Recently tagged in a photo with her. I clicked. In the comments under the photo, someone had written, "So glad to see you two back together." Fire red heart. I felt my stomach drop. Back together? I clicked through Eli's profile and found another post from 8 months ago. A blurry image of him and Lila at a lakeside cabin. Arms wrapped, her smile wide and warm. The same one she gave me when she wanted to distract me from asking real questions. This wasn't just a fling. She had another relationship running parallel to ours. And if I was warm until July, was he scheduled for after? But here's where it gets worse. While I was digging, my phone buzzed. A new email from an address I didn't recognize. No subject line, no body text, just an attachment, a video. I hesitated. I scanned it twice, made sure it wasn't malware, then clicked. It was a screen recording of her Telegram chat with Denton. Different messages. This time about me. Lila, he finally found the door. Took longer than you said. Denton, doesn't matter. Plan's still on. He's not dangerous. Lila, he'll break, like the others. Denton, he's the last one, right? Lila, yeah. Then I'm out. The last one. The last what? That was when I realized this wasn't about love or cheating or some twisted game of emotional ping pong. This was a project, a setup, and I was the final step in whatever scheme Lila and Denton had been running. The locked room wasn't just a secret. It was a phase, and I had just graduated. By now I had accepted something that most people never want to admit. I wasn't dating a liar. I was dating a manipulator with a blueprint. Every text, every smile, every fight, especially the fights, had been scripted like scenes in a play I didn't know I'd been cast in. But it wasn't until I took a second look at the calendar on her wall that I saw the thing I'd missed the first time. There was a tiny symbol, barely visible, next to one of the red dates. A triangle with a line through it. Not a doodle, a mark. Same one appeared again in the Telegram chat background she'd been using. Something clicked in the back of my brain. I'd seen it before. But where? I took a screenshot and ran it through Google Lens. What came up wasn't comforting. The symbol matched a logo connected to a string of anonymous, emotional research collectives that had been mentioned in fringe Reddit threads. Groups where people ran psychological experiments on unsuspecting partners, supposedly for behavioral studies. It sounded like conspiracy junk until I saw the list of known aliases tied to people in the community. And there it was. Denton Rice. Not just a name in her messages. A real person. A repeat offender. His name was connected to 3 different reports of women claiming their relationships had been deliberately sabotaged by men who later admitted they were part of something called the Mirror Initiative, a group that challenges emotional patterns by staging betrayal scenarios in long-term partnerships. What the hell? I felt my lungs tighten. I searched deeper, digging into old forums, archived posts, hidden subreddits, and then I found a thread from 2 years ago. A man named Jordan, from Colorado, writing about how his girlfriend had secretly recorded him for 6 months, fed him scripts during fights, and then disappeared. She used a different name, but the photo he linked? It was unmistakably Lila. Hair dyed red. Same smile. Same eyes. Same predator hiding behind charm. And that wasn't the worst part. In the comments, someone else replied. Same girl. Different city. Different year. She called herself L. Another user. Alias, Ray. She records everything. She's not alone. Another. If she's with you, you're already the data. That's when the reality fully hit me. I was never a boyfriend. I was a case study. A final chapter. Someone she needed to break just to complete whatever project this was. And Denton? He wasn't the lover. He was the handler, which made one thing crystal clear. She wasn't going to just walk away when she was done with me. She was going to erase me. It's a strange thing when you realize the person you've been sleeping next to has been treating your entire life like a science experiment. But it's something else entirely when you discover they were planning your exit like it was part of a scheduled procedure. I wasn't just angry anymore. I was paranoid. I started to wonder how much of my life she'd infiltrated. Had she cloned my phone? Installed spyware? Was I being watched through my own devices? The way she always insisted on charging my phone for me or fixing the Wi-Fi now looked different. Suspicious. And for the first time in my adult life, I factory reset every single thing I owned. Then I made a mistake. Or maybe it was luck. I revisited the hard drive I'd used to back up all the data from her devices. I thought I'd already gone through everything. But tucked deep inside one of the folders, buried in a chain of misnamed subfolders labeled with dates and random words, I found a file. One she hadn't deleted. A single video. No title. Just a timestamp. 07_14_exit. July 14th. The same day marked on her calendar. The date next to my name. I opened it. It was a screen recording of a Zoom call. Her face in one corner, smiling, perfectly composed. And across from her, two people I didn't recognize. Faces blurred. Voices altered. But their body language was calm. Cold. Clinical. She was reading a summary. Subject has remained emotionally dependent despite staged withdrawal. Recorded high levels of forgiveness reflex, minimal confrontational behavior, and delayed suspicion even when exposed to contradictory input. Emotional investment remains intact despite strategic distancing. Subject now prepared for closure. Closure. That's what they called it. Then one of the distorted voices asked, "Are you certain he hasn't discovered the room?" Lila smiled. He heard the phone vibrating. But I redirected. He thinks I'm just flaky. He's not dangerous. Not a runner. He's the safest exit I've had yet. The safest exit. I don't know how long I sat there, just watching her say those words on loop. I wasn't a man. I wasn't a boyfriend. I wasn't even a human being in her eyes. I was a case file marked for deletion. Just one more controlled demolition in a twisted little study built on lies, love bombing, and withdrawal. And yet, somewhere in that horror, there was clarity. Because now I understood. July 14th wasn't just her walk-away date. It was the day I was supposed to break. So I made a new plan. If she wanted closure, she was going to get it. Just not the kind she expected. I didn't wait for July 14th. If that was the day I was meant to fall apart, to cry or lash out or beg her not to leave, then I was going to make sure it meant something else entirely. A different kind of ending. One I controlled. So I made a copy of everything. All the footage. The Telegram chats. The list with the names. The Zoom call. I even printed out the transcript of that last video. The one where she called me the safest exit. And then, calmly, methodically, I did something she would have never expected. I booked a table at her favorite restaurant. I messaged her and said, "Let's do something nice. Just us. No distractions." She said yes, probably thinking she still had me wrapped around her perfectly manicured finger. She showed up in that red dress I used to love. She smiled like she was still the version of her that I met on a rainy Thursday afternoon outside the bookstore. And then I handed her a manila envelope. She opened it. No screaming. No slapping. No dramatic speeches. Just the quiet collapse of a mask she'd worn too long. Her face went still. Her mouth twitched. Her eyes darted to the door. I spoke quietly, just loud enough for her to hear. "I'm not here to hurt you. I'm not going to expose you. But I know, and I wanted you to know that I know, that you didn't break me, that you weren't the storm, just a passing test." She didn't say anything, just sat there, holding that envelope like it was heavier than it should have been, like it was burning her hands. I paid the bill and left her sitting there. For the first time, she didn't follow. I walked out of that place taller than I had in months. Not because I'd won some battle, but because I'd finally stopped trying to fix a puzzle that was never meant to be solved. I've moved since then. Different apartment. New job. Got rid of every device that ever touched her Wi-Fi. I don't check the cloud anymore. I don't wonder what July was supposed to look like. I made my own version of it. Quiet, peaceful, real. And here's the strange thing. I'm grateful. Not for the lies, but for the truth they forced me to see. I was living a life half asleep, loving people who only knew how to mirror emotions, not feel them. Now, I'm awake and free,